Hello there students, welcome back to this video series. This is your instructor GroupDiscussions, and today we will be talking about one of the important topics of oral technical communication, which is group discussions. A group of people meeting together and discussing something. What is this used for and why is it an important topic if oral technical communication is concerned? Where did this origin from? Okay. So many questions. You would get answers to all these questions and also some tips to face group discussions in future today in this lecture. Let us move further with first things first. Let me try to define what is meant by group discussions. Group discussions are where a particular number of people meet together face to face to discuss ideas, to develop ideas and also to share them. Okay. Approximately 3 to 8 people would sit together who would be discussing a topic, and their major motto would be to convey their viewpoints to others and make sure that everyone comes to a conclusion which is beneficial to the organization. Students, initially group discussion was first introduced by Indian Defence Agency for selection of their candidates. They thought that group discussions would give a deep insight into a particular person before he or she is being selected for defense agency. By group discussions, you might get to know other aspects which are emotional, professional and knowledge aspects of a candidate before he or she is recruited. Following the footsteps of Indian defense agencies, right now many companies, many top management companies, many engineering firms, all of them have started group discussions as an integral part of the selection process of the candidates. They get to know much more about the candidates from a group discussion rather than from an interview. So majorly, group discussion got its foot, or it originated when Indian Defense Agency started it as a selection process. Right now it is being used worldwide as a very well-known technique for different purposes. What these purposes are? There are 3 major purposes for group discussions. It can be decision making, problem solving, and as I already told you, personality tests before a candidate is selected for a particular job. Let us see each of these in detail, starting with, of course, decision making. Group discussions are utilized as a very effective means for decision making in any organization. Different types of decision making would call for different types of group discussions. Different type of people would participate in this group discussion depending upon what kind of decision is to be made. For example, whether or not to continue a particular product line would be the decision of a customer. So a group of customers would be brought together, ask some questions about the product. If any improvements are suggested, those improvements would be asked and they would be giving an opinion whether or not a particular product line should be continued. Obviously, you cannot ask this to your employees. Employees have made this product, so they would be in the positive side of the product only. But if you want to change the technology of your production line, if you want to introduce some new technology in the production process, then obviously you would bring together your employees and you would ask them whether or not this change is inevitable, whether or not this change is good for the further productions, because these are the people who are going to use this production process. Based upon the decision which you want to make, you would be calling for different types of group discussions with different people. So, firstly, group discussions are used in decision making. Secondly, group discussions are used for problem solving. Problems do occur in any type of organizations at any point of time. It is obvious. Okay, problems can be known, unknown, or sudden. These problems might be solved effectively and innovatively by group discussions, by bringing together different people who can give their opinions about how to solve this particular problem. So whether it is a small problem of less productions or a huge problem of decrease in the market value of your shares, these problems can be solved using group discussions by bringing in together the experts, your employees, your organization's well-wishers, etc. These problems can be very well solved from different opinions, different perspectives, which can be brought together in group discussions. Last but not the least, group discussions are used in personality tests. To test the personality of the candidate before hiring him or her, you would be using group discussions. Here a candidate can be judged upon different skills, like their communication skills, like their leadership skills, like their knowledge, etc. in group discussions. So much in just short period of time, and so easily you can gain access to the personality of different persons. So group discussions are a very useful tool for personality tests. You too would be facing this personality test wherever you want to go after you complete your studies. Obviously you would be thinking that, ma'am, you are telling us this is so important, then please give us some tips or some strategies that we can use while we are sitting in a group discussion. That is my next agenda. I would be teaching you different strategies that can be used for performing very well and for getting selected in those group discussions. Okay, what are different strategies? Whether or not the group discussion is for the personality test or it is after you are recruited and for decision making or problem solving, these are some certain strategies which you should keep in mind while you are sitting there. Sit and discussing in the group. Okay, first strategy is to use persuasive strategies. Use persuasion, students. Here your main aim in group discussion would be to persuade other members, to make sure that other people agree upon your point. Only then you can come out as an effective group discusser. How you can persuade others or convince others? First, do your homework well. Collect proper amount of data and arrange that data in format which can be understood easily by others, like charts, graphs, etc. Use more pictures to make sure that people get engrossed in your presentation. Okay. Secondly, try to use different digital media, flip charts, chart papers, etc. to prove your point. This would help you in bringing forward your point with very details, okay, with high amount of detailing. Okay, so use persuasion strategies and try to win that group discussion. Secondly, be polite and firm at the same time. Ma'am, this is a difficult task. Whether we need to be polite or we need to be firm, this is a difficult question here. Students, you need to be firm on your stand that whatever you are thinking should be carried forward throughout the discussion, but along with being firm, you must be polite. If you disagree with someone else, do so politely. Speak words like, I got your point, but I would beg to differ. You can differ in different ways, like, okay, your research might be fruitful, but according to my research, these are the current values. What do you have to say about that? You will be polite. Along with that, you will prove your point. Do not in any way become rude during a group discussion. You are entirely wrong. You cannot speak in this tone. You cannot at all be rude in group discussion. You cannot speak in this manner because it would create a very distracting atmosphere in the group discussion and which would not be fruitful. Thirdly, make sure that you take care of some of the tips I am giving you while you are speaking in group discussions. First and foremost, do not miss any opportunity while you need to talk in the group discussion. Do not miss. Grab the opportunity as soon as it arrives, but do not speak for the sake of speaking. Speak or take your turn only when you have some important thing to convey. Do not just repeat someone else's point. That is very bad. That gives a very bad impression. You need to add your own points, and if you have such points, then make sure you convey them immediately as soon as the opportunity arrives. Be in search of the opportunity and take it up as soon as it comes. Secondly, while speaking, try to keep your tone somewhat informal. It should not be too formal, otherwise your presentation would be boring and it would sound like you are just reading out something. Do not be too informal because this is a formal group discussion. So try to maintain a balance of formality and informality. Keep your tone somewhat informal. Okay. Thirdly, make sure that your verbal and non-verbal cues are in place. Whatever you are speaking, your non-verbal cues, your actions, your expressions must get along with your words. Okay, so you must not be only verbally presentable but non-verbally presentable too. Make sure that you wear good clothes while in a group discussion. Make sure you are not there too shabby. Make sure that while you are speaking, you are very clear and you articulate each and everything properly. I have taught you in great details about articulation and non-verbal communication. You need to make sure that you use proper articulation inflections so that your point is clearly conveyed. Here you want that everyone understands what you are trying to speak, and that is why you need to put this point across very clearly. These are certain tips which you must be taking care of while you are speaking in group discussion. Make sure that you discuss each and every problem along with the solution. Students, there is a possibility that a single problem has arrived due to many sub-problems. During the group discussion, before you commence it, discuss that what are different problems at hand. Take up each one of them one by one and try to solve them individually. At the end, you must be having solution to all the problems with which you started your discussion. Some problems can be very easy, which can be immediately solved, but some others might be too complex and would require higher digging in capability and would require higher investigation. Yes, so these problems must be discussed at huge lengths. I would give you an example. Say for example, the production and two-wheeler department of an automobile company has become very less in the past month. You need to find the sub-problems of this particular problem. There can be different sub-problems leading to this problem. Different sub-problems can be lack in motivation of the workers, or many of the workers being sick and not coming in. That is why the production might have decreased. The third problem can be lack of resources. There can be low inventory due to which workers are not possible to work. The fourth problem can be lack of demand. Because two-wheelers are not in demand, they are producing less. What is beneath the original problem? Try to identify those problems, those sub-problems, and make sure that you solve all these problems, and as a cumulative whole, you solve the major problem. At the end of the discussion, you must be having solutions to all problems that were discussed, that were to be solved. Okay, moving on, try to create a cordial and cooperative atmosphere. Everyone speaking and no one listening would take the discussion nowhere. Make sure that the atmosphere is cordial and a fish market like scenario doesn't occur. If such thing happens, then you may raise your voice and tell others to shut down and put up your point. Do so politely though, but make sure that a cordial atmosphere with each and everyone cooperating with each other, listening to each other takes place. Also, Try to know the names of all the group members before the group discussion commences, because this will help you while you are discussing with others. You cannot say that, okay, the girl with black dress, your point is wrong, I want to put up my point. The boy with blue eyes, your point is wrong, I want to put up my point. This wouldn't look good. Better is, Miss Neena, I do not agree with your viewpoint. My viewpoint is like this. Better, right? Try to know each and everyone by their first names before you get into the details of the group discussion. Just asking a name, that's all you need. Okay, moving further, let us understand one of the most important strategies, that is taking turn strategies. What strategies will you use for taking your turn? What is meant by turn taking? In a group discussion, when you get a chance and you stand and speak, that is your turn. How to take your turn? There are three major strategies of taking your turn. First and foremost, just taking a turn. It means whenever you get a chance to speak, you will stand up, you will speak, or you would just paraphrase what someone else spoke and you would just give up your turn. This is just taking a turn where you do not indulge into details, you just take your turn and let it go. The second strategy is holding the turn, where you would be having so many points to put that you will keep on holding your turn and you will not pass it on to anyone else. This is holding your turn for a long amount of time. You would be thinking that, ma'am, the people who would be able to hold a turn would be having very high advantage and would be getting very high amount of marks. That's wrong. That is totally a misconception that if you keep on speaking in a group discussion, you would be beneficial, you would be at the beneficial end. This is this is a myth. Okay. Students, here your behavior as a group member is tested. If they wanted to know your individual thoughts, they would have called you for an interview. The organization has called you for a group discussion because they want to check your behavior while you're working in a group. And in a group, you need to give equal importance to each and every person, not only to yourself but to all others who are speaking there. So holding a turn would give you marks for communication, yes, but it would deduct your marks for the improper listening skills. You would be ranked very low in the listening department because you are not listening, you are just talking. That is also a bad idea. The third strategy, and my favorite one, is yielding a turn. In yielding a turn, you will try to connect the dots. You will take up a turn from someone else and you will make sure that you pass on the turn to someone else. Okay, you take up your turn. At the end of the turn, you would pitch a question or something, or you would non-verbally or verbally try to pass on your turn to someone else. Like, I can ask a question. Okay, these were my thoughts about this new technology and how different firms are using this technology. Our organization too should use this technology. What are your thoughts about that? You may pass on to someone else using just your hand gesture, or you can speak as, Mr. Mukesh, what are your thoughts about this? This is turn taking strategies where you would yield your turn to someone else, where you would make sure that the communication flow doesn't stop. Here you pass on the turn to someone else, giving importance to others' ideas too, and you make the point that not only your idea but the ideas of entire group does matter here. This is a very good turn taking strategy. Make sure that you yield a turn when you are in a group discussion. Moving forward to the next strategy, which teaches us effective intervention. Intervention means to interfere. Obviously, you cannot just sit there waiting for your turn. No one would give you a turn in your plate that, okay, now it is your turn, you may continue and talk. This is not how things work. You will need to interfere for different reasons. You might not be agreeing with someone else's point, or you might have to add to someone else's point, or you have some better examples than the speaker who is already having a turn. In different cases, obviously the group discussion cannot be carried forward without interfering the speaker. You can interfere and you can intervene, it is okay, but you need to make an effective intervention. You shouldn't just cut someone and start speaking. You would use terms like, I'm sorry to barge in, but I need to add these points to your fundamentals. Or you can say, pardon me, I do not agree with your point. Or, I beg to differ, but my research is speaking something else, etc. Make sure that if and when you interfere, you do so effectively. Moving on, our last strategy says that come what may, make sure that at the end of the group discussion, you reach a decision. Reach a decision, that is the major fundamental or major goal of this group discussion. Whether or not you reach a final decision, make sure that at least you reach an interim decision. Interim decision is a subsequent decision. At least you make decisions regarding the smaller points, taking votes of all the group members and reaching to a conclusion or consensus. Otherwise, this group discussion is not at all fruitful if it doesn't give out any results. Then it is a total waste of time, and time is money. So do not waste time, reach a decision, only then your group discussion is fruitful. That was all for today, students. We would continue with discussion of group discussions in the next video. Thank you so much for such patiently listening to me. This is Dhruvi Bhatt signing off. Until next time. Bye-bye.